It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what is a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Monday in Nashville. Let me check the old temp here real quick. Temperature 73 degrees as we start this broadcast. So welcome to spring, at least for a day. Although I say that, the forecast for the entire week is mostly in the 60s. So got nothing to complain about, which means, by the way, that we're getting close to this season. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Now, Kelly Holcomb not with us today. He will rejoin us tomorrow. Let's say hello to Billy Derrick. God only knows where he is or what level of behavior he's had over the weekend. We will return to our digs tomorrow at the Ford Ice Center. Billy, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun, little bachelor weekend, so
Yeah.
maybe a little break from working, but we found a way to get on today, and that's dedication. That's takes some dedication and some commitment to the George Plaster Show to find a way back on here on a Monday. So ready to roll.
Actually, it's really more like a miracle that we have got me on.
Yeah. Luckily, you're not alone. You've got some help, so that's good.
Got a little bit of help, and that always does it. So, were you in town at all over the weekend?
I was not, but I know you were, and I had some people at the Preds game, just kind of downtown, texting me. It was a little bit of an early puck drop, and all I'm hearing was, this city is buzzing again, like kind of like it was back in 2017. Obviously, that team was more talented than this team, but I mean, and I even we were talking on the phone the other day, George. You kind of feels like that a little bit. It's still early March, but I mean, this team they've got some magic in them, and they don't know how to lose anymore.
Yeah, for right now, when you say that team had more talent, they were an 8 seed.
Yeah.
That conference, well, in the NHL, they were the 16th out of 16 to get in. I don't know if it was that or they caught fire, a little bit like this team is catching fire right now. And I don't know, whatever's going on, it's really cool. They got unbelievable hat trick from Cody Glass, who had scored all of 2 goals the entire year. And if you look, Billy, one of the things that has been going on during this ridiculous run they've been on, 2 things. You see in the goaltending world, they've given up 13, I think I'm right, 13 goals in 8 games. So do the math.
Yep.
It's way under 2 a game. And when you do that, you're likely to win some games. And then the other thing is they're getting goals from everywhere. For a long time, it was the first line led by Philip Forsberg. Right now, it's a little bit of everybody. And that is really making them a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, you mentioned that they've only given up 13 goals in 8 games, but they've scored 37 in 8 games. So this isn't, they're just playing great defense and Saros and Lankinen are playing really well. This is also that offense, and they are able to spread it around. And when you can do that, I think we're starting to learn this team can make a run in the playoffs. I don't want to get over my skis, but I mean, when you're spreading it around that much, and Guy will tell us, more about this, but I think that's a good sign in the playoffs. Actually, you can make that run.
I asked somebody yesterday, I said, are they becoming a team that other teams are looking at and saying, we don't really want to play them? There is a definite advantage to finishing in the 7 hole. Right now, they're tied with the LA Kings for 7th or 8th. Preds would be in the 8th position because they've played 2 more games. But the difference is the 8 seed likely will get Vancouver, and nobody in their right mind wants Vancouver. If you end up in the 7, you'll get either Winnipeg, Dallas, or Colorado. And the Preds seem to have played pretty well against all 3 of them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're, if say whoever that 2 seed is, I don't know that 2 seed, if the Preds do get a 7, obviously we don't know 7 or 8, we don't know yet, but for that 2 seed, I don't think they would want to come into Bridgestone and have to play this, this plucky Preds team, kind of like 2017, when they swept the Blackhawks in the first round. So we'll see, though. They're in action Tuesday night at home against who, George?
Montreal. And I'll be there.
You'll be there. I think I'll be there as well. So I got Preds fever.
Mm-hmm. So you're basically just a winning streak snob. If they're on a winning streak, you'll be there.
I think there's a lot of Preds people like that. Would you? Maybe not a lot, but I mean,
I think there's some.
Yeah. I've got some friends that they weren't watching. Yeah. But George, also, they're in action Tuesday night. Tommy Novak has signed a 3-year contract extension, $10.5 million deal.
Really?
And yeah, so, I think that's a great move because Novak, we know how impactful he's been this season. So I wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you had heard about that yet. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So Novak will be secured for the next 3 years. Also, George, over the weekend, especially here in Tennessee, a lot of eyes on Tennessee and Alabama. Tennessee wins 80. Well, yeah, great game, 81-74. Dalton Connect only had 13 points, and Tennessee was able to kind of get some big threes from Triple J, and I thought Vescovy played better. That's a dangerous team, George, and I don't think anybody wants to play them right now, similar to the Preds.
They look like a 1 seed. I know Arizona and North Carolina, and there may be another team or 2 that'll argue it, but I don't believe for a minute that Arizona goes to Tuscaloosa and beats Alabama. Alabama at home is really good, and Tennessee in the final 10 minutes just sort of imposed their will. It's a huge win for that program.
Yeah, and they now control their own destiny to win the SEC title. They win these next 2, South Carolina on the road this week, and then they play Kentucky at home on Saturday. But they were tied for first with Alabama before that game Saturday night. Now they're a game up on Bama and South Carolina. If they win out, they got the title. But
so they basically have to win at South Carolina because the Gamecocks already have a road win in Knoxville.
Yes. So they have that South Carolina game is the game they have to win.
Yeah.
They could lose to South Carolina, still beat Kentucky. Yeah, I think they'll be okay, but that would be a share. If you want to win outright, if you're Tennessee, and they've never done that under Rick Barnes. In 18, I think they were co-champs with Auburn, I want to say. So, you need to win these next 2 to guarantee you've got sole possession of it. If they lose both, then you need a lot of help to claim the title. But this Tennessee – go ahead.
Billy, it's reached a point, as good as they are, that they've got to make a deep run in the tournament. And that's a lot of pressure. But, he's had this nickname of regular season Rick, and they now have got to get past that.
Yep.
I'm not saying they have to win it all, for goodness sakes. That's a ton of pressure. But they can't lose that first weekend. And there will be an enormous amount of pressure on Tennessee to see to it that does not happen.
Yeah, and the SEC tournament doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think so. You'd like to win it. and even the regular season title. I think if Tennessee, as long as they're focused on playing their best basketball in March in the tournament, that's all you got to worry about right now. But they are playing extremely well. Like I said, they've got South Carolina on Wednesday night. That's in Columbia. Not going to be easy. South Carolina, boy, if Lamont Paris sweeps Tennessee, I mean, that'd be incredible. I mean, he SEC Coach of the Year. I think he's already kind of wrapped it up. But also over the weekend, LSU came in to Nashville, beat Vanderbilt 75-61.
Move on.
I mean, it's just kind of a slow death at this point. South Carolina, big win over Florida early Saturday, 82-76. And Florida's another – yeah, they were down, and they were doing the chomp with the student section after the game. So South Carolina's got some swagger to them. Also, Kentucky, 111 points against Arkansas. I mean, their defense – they gave up 102 to that Arkansas team. I know they won the game, but there was zero defense.
That game was closer than the final score would indicate.
It sure was. Auburn beat Mississippi State at home, really walloped them, actually. A&M won at Georgia, and then Ole Miss won at Missouri. Closer game than people realize. Missouri's trying to get that first SEC win down the stretch here.
Good luck.
We'll see. They've got Auburn at home on Tuesday. And then Saturday, they've got at LSU. So this could be another winless SEC team coming up from Mizzou. George, I always love this week, too, because you got the mid-major conference tournament starting up. The A-Sun tournament hosted by the campus sites. So it's not like the Missouri Valley where you got one site. Lipscomb got the 3 seed. And I actually went to their game Friday night against Eastern Kentucky.
So did I.
Yeah, it was, I mean, great atmosphere. Got to talk to Lenny Acuff after the game, really credited the fans. And so they secure a 3 seed. They'll play Northern Alabama or North Alabama.
Tomorrow night at 7.
Yep. Tomorrow night at 7. And then the way they do it the next round, it's not the team's already slated. They'll likely play Stetson next for Lipscomb, but we'll keep tabs on that. And then Missouri Valley, I know we're going to bring this up here coming up with Casey Alexander, Belmont head coach. They got the 5 seed. They're going to play Valpo tomorrow night. That's correct, right, George? We've got the bracket.
2:30.
Okay, 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Thursday. Yeah, so there's a look at the bracket. This is in St. Louis. Every game in St. Louis. And if they beat Valpo tomorrow, they will play – or no, not tomorrow. I keep getting that mixed up. Thursday, my bad. Thursday, if they beat Valpo Thursday, they'll play Northern Iowa. So we'll get into that with Casey. And then lastly here, George, big news out of the NFL. Eagles legend Jason Kelce announces his retirement. I think we all knew that was coming, especially with the way he was acting at the Bills playoff game against the Chiefs and then at the Super Bowl. But legendary career, 6-time All-Pro. He's a Hall of Famer.
He's headed to somebody's broadcast booth.
You think so?
Pretty good. Yeah, I do. The other one out of the NFL, Mike Evans, is off the free agent list.
Yep.
Tampa got it done. What was it? 2 years, $52 million.
Yep.
Sweet. Good for him.
Yeah, and we talked earlier. Yeah, we talked earlier about the Titans kind of who are they looking at receiver wise and free agency. We talked about T. Higgins. He got tagged. Mike Evans was probably a long shot. Of course, he got re-signed. I think now you kind of look at maybe a guy like Calvin Ridley. Gabe Davis has been brought up as guys that they may not, re-sign with their respective teams. But Calvin Ridley played pretty darn well last year in Jacksonville. That's the thing about receivers and even left tackles too. The market's not great right now for those two positions, the Titans' biggest needs.
Well, your Notre Dame boy is who everybody thinks the Titans are going to go with, the big kid, the offensive lineman, who is an absolute monster. Mm-hmm. In the wide receiver world, I mean, let's face it, they're probably in free agency going to have to overpay a little bit to get one. but it's desperately needed. They cannot continue down the path they've been on. If they hadn't signed DeAndre Hopkins near the start of training camp, it would have been arguably the worst receiver core in the league. So they got to do something, and they know it.
Yep, that's all I got. And of course, we've got some basketball action tonight. Duke is at NC State, probably the game of the night. So
there's not much. Texas Baylor is the other one. So take your pick.
Take your pick. You'll be taking your pick later.
Yeah, well, whatever. We've run into hard times.
Yeah, I don't even know if we need to review the weekend.
On today. You go 1-4, you deserve to get ripped.
Yeah, is that why Kelly's not on?
No, I mean, if it were that easy, every time I have a bad day, I'd bag him.
Yeah, we did get a comment from somebody on YouTube. Did you throw him out, Kelly? I mean,
if I go 1-4, I'd like to. Okay, so after the break, Belmont basketball coach Casey Alexander will join us. We'll talk about the Bruins and their Missouri Valley Conference tournament, because the way it turned out, they've got to win 4 games in 4 days, and that will not be easy. We're coming back after this.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit SouthernTrophy.com, Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. We are back, and I'm told we're headed out to Belmont University and talk with head basketball coach Casey Alexander. Now, Casey, my lack of technology is well known. Did you have help getting on here?
No way, man. This is easy.
You sure?
Total veteran.
Really?
Yeah. I took it from, I even had it on my phone. I sent it to my computer. I mean, I can get on here multiple ways, Plas.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, you are past me then.
Yeah.
So help me on exactly how you all ended up as the 5 and Northern Iowa ended up 4, because I know it has something to do with the net.
Yeah, it is almost entirely the net. I mean, obviously the first the first criteria, I guess, for breaking a tiebreaker is head to head, but we split during the regular season, so that was out. And then the next criteria is the net, and so they were 6-8 spots better than us in the net. We were separated by 2 spots going into Sunday, and but they had a nice win and we had a mediocre win, and so we're looking up.
So before your game yesterday, I had a chance to watch Drake and Bradley in the first half and then come over to your game at the Curb. And I've thought this for a good while. This league is nationally way underrated. People do not realize what a grind this thing is.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. And, it's the reason why we made the move. It's not as easy to win, and it'll be more difficult to get to the NCAA tournament, but it is an exceptional basketball league. It has been for a long time. It's the 9th best league in the country. There are 32 conferences out there, and you've got the Power 5 and you got the Big East. That's 6 of them. And then I think it is maybe the Atlantic 10, West Coast Conference, and then us. And with the West Coast Conference is actually behind us. That's Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Those guys are actually a conference behind us. So really good league. And
this just in, St. Mary's wants no part of Gonzaga after Saturday. I promise you.
They'll take their regular season championship home with them and be proud of that despite the loss. So,
Casey, what's the biggest difference between what you saw night in, night out in the OVC and what you get now in the Missouri Valley? Is it simply a better level of athleticism?
It's a little bit of everything, and I never want to minimize how good I thought the OVC was or how much we enjoyed our time there. But it's just a little bigger, better in every way you can think of. I mean, this league had multiple sellouts and multiple different venues across the conference this season of 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people there. Probably, I know SIU did, Drake did, Bradley did, Indiana State definitely did, so there's a different level of fan base, arenas, which makes road games much more difficult. I think this league, for a long time, probably because of its Midwestern roots, has a real defensive-oriented mindset to it. And so rosters are constructed that way. The game is officiated that way, so it's just much more physical. And because that's how the game is played, then the guys are usually bigger, stronger. So it's a real challenge. I mean, it's fun, but it's a real challenge.
So you all are one of those teams going in on a roll, and there are probably other schools going, I'd just as soon avoid Belmont right now if I could. Is it simply just getting Gillespie back, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, there has to be more to it than that, but that's the biggest component. It's I don't think you can look at how much we struggled without him and now look at how much better we've played with him and not surmise that he's a big reason why those two things occur. But but we've just played better. We've been healthy. Kay Tyson was out sick for a couple of weeks. He didn't miss any games, but he was he went 2 weeks without practicing during that time when Gillespie was out. And so it's just kind of all come together at the right spot. Since Jacoby has been back in our lineup, Gillespie, in the last 8 games, we've won 7 out of 8. And we have been the best defensive team in the league over that 8-game stretch and the second best offensive team in the league. So, those credentials inspire some confidence and should give us a chance this week.
So it's a really, and Billy, go ahead if you will and put that thing back up there. It's a condensed deal where you're playing potentially as many as 4 games in about 3.5 days. So do you have to coach any differently, in particular, if you get a good lead early, of thinking past one game, or is it all, look, we lay it all out there for one game and worry about tomorrow?
For me, it's both. I mean, I think coaches would answer that question differently. I mean, I'm going into the Valpo game on Thursday afternoon expecting to play our main guys for 40 minutes and fight like crazy to win a game. If we're in a situation where, we can go deeper into the bench or save guys some minutes, that I would actually do that if I felt like it was not going to jeopardize the game that we were playing. But, once you get past that one, you can forget it regardless.
So when you get into this situation, being able to go to your bench gets pretty important to get some quality minutes. And yesterday, you got some big minutes from the kid Roberts. Talk to me about him, because I had not seen him a whole lot.
Yeah, true freshman, Brigham Rogers from Atlanta. And, a rare occurrence when you have a true freshman 5-man at this level that's ready to play physically and has the confidence to do so and so forth. So he's been an important part of our team all year. Malik Dia had a great game at Murray State on Wednesday night, started feeling bad on the way home on the bus, and we didn't see him until shoot around yesterday when he showed up in street clothes and watched us shoot around for about 30 minutes. So he literally did nothing between Wednesday's game and Sunday. So we knew we weren't going to get a lot of minutes out of him. So Rogers had to step up and be more of a presence, and he was.
Yeah, he sure was. He was big yesterday. So let's talk about the 1-2 punch here. Tyson, from the minute he's gotten on your campus, has been something really special. Man, am I impressed with him.
Yeah, he's a confident kid. He's a hard worker. He came in kind of feeling like he belonged from the beginning, and he was able to, because of Ben Shepherd and the amount of attention that he attracted. We had a great shooter in Drew Freiberg last year. He was always the 3rd or 4th option, so he was able to settle in, but he really settled in nicely, and he's been super consistent, really remarkable. Just a sophomore, how consistent he has been literally since his first game of his career until now, as we head toward the end of his sophomore season. I think he's going into yesterday. I think he was 2nd in the country, maybe in 3-point field goal percentage, and he shoots plenty of them. So he's pretty good weapon.
Yeah. So let's go to the second part of it. Malik Dia, who some of us had seen because he came over from Vandy. He's been a huge piece to what you all are doing. Casey, did you know all along, hey, if we can get him, if he's really coming here, that he will be this important for us?
I knew all along that he was a talent level that we haven't had, especially inside. He's every bit of 6'9", 260, and he can move and he can play out on the floor. He can make open threes. He can drive it a little bit. Gets himself in trouble a little bit too often, but with driving the ball. But he's just got a lot of kind of natural ability. So it was more a question of, how well will he fit into what we're trying to do? How well will he understand what we want offensively, and how he can be impactful in that way? Because we knew he would get points and rebounds just because of his talent, but there's a lot more to it than that. And that part's been a process. He would say that, he's really come a long way since the beginning of the season. He's still got a ways to go in that regard, but we're really, really lucky to have him.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. It feels like you're surging at the right time, that this has been going on now for about a month. And you know, when you go to Murray State and win by double digits, that gets everybody's attention. I'm excited for you guys, and I'm sure you all are too, to play this thing out and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about this run that we've made. Again, we've won 7 out of 8, and the only loss was at Drake, who's has the nation's longest winning streak. I think 20 games in a row. And so, in those 7 wins, I think we've won them by an average of almost 15 points a game. Definitely double figures in at least 6, if not 7, all 7 of those wins.
Yeah, I want you to see this. Normally, we do the show from the Ford Ice Center. Billy's out of town, so we had to make some changes. And this is one change I wanted to make sure you saw.
You know what? I saw that. I didn't know. I thought somebody just vomited on the wall back there behind you for a minute.
Billy, do you know what that's all about?
I do not. I don't.
Okay. Casey is a huge Cubs fan. And I'm not talking just, you know, in 16 when they won it all. I'm talking real Cubs fan. And so I appreciate his loyalty to a team, something you need to learn, you know, not just when teams win. And so Casey and I go back away with this Braves Cubs stuff.
I love it. That was a good line.
Next time I'm on the show, I'll do it from my home, and I'll include my wall fixtures. Okay.
Are there quite a few?
We have them. Yes, we have them. We have one Cubs one.
So when they won it all, am I right? You were at Lipscomb at that point.
Yep.
When they won it, physically won it that night, where were you?
I was in my bedroom, standing at the edge of my bed, you know, so
because a lot of people
wide awake. I was wide awake, but that was my wife was on the bed, my son was on the floor. We were just watching the game. So, you know, remember they had the
rain delay.
Rain delay, yeah. So we moved it from the living room to the bedroom at that time, but pretty good night. Pretty
cool moment. Casey, thank you for doing this. Good luck in St. Louis. I'm really curious to see where y'all are going with this. Yeah, I know you are too.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot for having me.
No, thank you. Take care. Billy, put the graphic back up there. So go down to day number 2, where you have the 3 seeds that are there, 1, 2, 3. Yep. Indiana State, Bradley, Drake. I've seen all 3 of those. Nobody wants to play any of those 3.
No, I've seen a little of Indiana State. Robbie Avila is a guy that kind of reminds a lot of people of Larry Bird in his game. And, of course, he plays at Indiana State. Drake, they've been good for a long time, and they're hard to beat. Bradley, same sort of thing. I remember watching that because Belmont had to play Bradley last year in the tournament, right?
Yeah. I think you're right.
Did they go down in that game, or did they?
You know, I don't remember. I remember watching it, and I don't remember who it was.
Okay.
Drake handled Bradley pretty easily yesterday. They've got a kid in their back court who is as good a player, and I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
Drake is for real. I don't think Indiana State is playing as well since they got into the top 25 for a week. I don't think they've been as good. I think they're more gettable because Belmont is on their side of the bracket.
Right.
I personally think that Belmont will take Valpo. I think they'll take UNI, Northern Iowa, and they'll end up in that 2:30 game on Saturday on CBS Sports Network. I think they're peaking at the right time. I am really interested to see what they're able to do in this thing.
Yeah, I'm interested too. I haven't been as locked into Belmont, but I mean, I kind of did a little research for it, and with Malik Dia and Gillespie and Tyson, they've got all the ingredients. And as the 5 seed, they're kind of creeping up on people right now. And a lot of times, George, the 1 seed in these tournaments, in these conference tournaments, doesn't typically win the conference. Indiana State's already in the tournament. I'm not saying they're not going to be playing hard, but Belmont might be on the better side of the bracket. It's weird saying that because the 1 seed is on top, but like you said, it feels like Indiana State hasn't played their best basketball, so they could be on the maybe the better side for their sake.
We are likely to check in on that Belmont game at halftime. We may have a reporter in St. Louis live. How about that?
Let's do it.
Okay. We'll go to the break. The NFL yesterday lost, in my mind, a broadcasting and journalism legend in Chris Mortensen. I knew him a little bit. I'll share some thoughts about him when we come back. Stay tuned. This is the George Plaster Show.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We are back on what is a beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville. We just started March and we're up in the mid-70s, so life could be a whole lot worse. Speaking of which, we're 23 days away from the opening of Major League Baseball. 24 days. 23. We take that back. And that's pretty amazing. 23 days away. It's unusual because this year, the whole NCAA tournament, just because of a quirk in the schedule, is pushed back a week. The Final Four is April the 6th and the 8th. And Major League Baseball will have been going for a good, week and a half by then, which is kind of weird. but that's the case. Okay, on to what I wanted to get to. A lot of us yesterday were really saddened and kind of stunned at the passing of a journalism and broadcast legend in Chris Mortensen from ESPN. Billy, you probably don't know this. Chris Mortensen kind of broke in more as a Major League Baseball writer than football. He covered the Atlanta Braves
Oh, wow.
for a decent amount of time with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I used to read Chris Mortensen for baseball info all the time.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Didn't know that, did you?
No. So that's where he started.
I don't know that that's necessarily where he started without having it in front of me. He
Right.
also at one point was a beat writer for the Dodgers.
Oh, wow.
But I got to know Chris a little bit when he was in Atlanta. And then when he went to work for ESPN, we would see him a pretty good amount. He and Jeff Fisher were pretty close. So he would come through here a decent amount. And I got to know him, and the things you're hearing right now about him, you always hear when somebody passes away that they were a good person, whether they were or not. In Mort's case, it absolutely was the truth. And it's good to hear a lot of the ESPN anchors talking about him being one of the consciences of that network. And I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's obvious from the comments. He was really well respected, just a good man, and that's a big loss.
It is. I mean, he's just been doing it for so long too, and was such a mainstay at ESPN. And of course, with his battles with cancer, obviously wasn't able to probably do as much. I mean, he was on camera a lot as well. I always thought he was really good on camera with Adam Schefter in particular with their draft coverage. And I mean, he was just a mainstay. And I saw somebody talking about he kind of redefined the fight. The fighting for his life and fighting, for his career. He never gave up on covering the NFL and putting work in. Obviously, he couldn't do as much as he probably ultimately wanted to, but he never let it truly affect him. Reminds me of a guy like a Stuart Scott. There's so many great examples. Dick Vitale. I feel like you've had some really good examples of, whether it's your career, whatever you do, just not giving up on it. And Mortensen was a prime example of that. High class, and definitely will be missed. And I noticed the reception too, whether it was Twitter or SportsCenter, people commenting, the guests they would have on their shows, very, very well respected because he had a legendary career. So praying for him and his family.
Yeah, it can be a really tough business. Being an NFL reporter at times is like being a beat, on a police thing, because in the office and over the years, there's been a lot of that. And he has always conducted himself with an incredible amount of class. When Adam Schefter was brought in, a lot of people tried to rumor kind of a fight between them, and it just was not true. And if you watch, and a lot of you have already seen it, Adam Schefter has done kind of a video obituary, a video tribute to Mort that is incredible. I mean, really well done. And there are not many like him. Listen, when I think of some of the people in that particular field, I'm thinking Adam Schefter and Mortensen, and I can't think of him all of a sudden from Philly, who's on ESPN.
Sal Palantonio.
Pal. And to be honest, John McClain is in that category. Guys that have covered that league since half of us were born. Not really, but you get where I'm going with it. And he just did an incredible job. But a lot of people didn't know it. He started out as a beat writer of the Atlanta Braves.
Who would have thought? How long was he the beat writer for the Braves?
I don't really know. I just remember reading him in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and anytime I would call him over the last few years, it would always end up, whatever it was I would call him about, it would then be, what's going on with the Braves? And he kept up with it. I think he still lived in Atlanta. I'll be honest, I did not know that the relapse was this serious. And
Me neither.
And I don't think a lot of us knew. And I just feel like we've really lost somebody pretty dang special.
Yeah, 72 years old, definitely. I mean, too young. Yeah, I'm sure deep down, if you would have asked him 15, 20 years ago, how long you want to keep doing this? I feel like Mortensen was a guy that, however long I can, and it's sad that he didn't get that opportunity.
I didn't realize he had sort of retired from ESPN. Maybe that should have been, for me, a sign that all was not well. But I did not realize he had retired.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam Schefter had his tweet initially, an absolutely devastating day. Mort was one of the greatest reporters in sports history and an even better man. Sincerest condolences to his family and all who knew and loved him. So many did. Mort was the very best. He will be forever missed and remembered. Yeah. So, and you could kind of see George later. I don't know when he kind of stopped doing a lot of the radio hits, but you could tell he wasn't doing great, but the fact that he was still up there, because ESPN went to him and said, "Hey, just if you don't want to do this, you don't have to." I'm sure that and I'm sure not knowing him, but knowing the kind of person he is, he didn't want to give up on that. He was fighting. So I think that's what I realized about him.
So I got one more thing I want to get to before we get to the top of the hour. And I want to get the numbers right because it was an absolute avalanche. So
Hey,
Hey, I've gotten the link on my phone, but not on.
so you don't have the new link?
Like, it's not like.
Oh, so is he connected to Wi-Fi?
He said the top is.
Hey, but Gmail's not coming through? All right, welcome back into the George Plaster Show. I'm Billy Derrick, filling in for George as we speak. We're having some technical difficulties at George's house. We'll see if we get those resolved. If not, we'll wrap it up here with Gee. We'll talk Preds, and then we'll close it out with Bet of the Day. But we're gonna bring Mark McGee in here now, talking a little Nashville Predators. Gee, what's going on?
I'm doing great. Hey, the link worked this time. Your link you gave me worked this time. So
what was
your new link you gave me worked this time?
Yeah. We finally got to see Gee's face here. So, Mark, let's start with Saturday night. Obviously, it was a little bit of an earlier puck drop, 5 o'clock, and everybody I heard from said atmosphere was phenomenal. The team showed up yet again. What stood out to you most about Saturday night's win?
That they're just pounding people. They're just pounding people. That's not very, I don't know. That's all there's to it. They're not just winning games. They're pounding people right now. And they're pounding big people. I mean, the Avalanche, some people thought they might sneak up on the Avalanche, but not by the score they snuck up with alone. I mean, who would have known? Yeah, the atmosphere has gotten great there, and it should be great right now. It has gotten great. This team is doing really well. 8-0 right now. It's a great time to be doing that. Everybody's talking now that they're probably a surefire a top 8 team, but there's still 20-something games left, so things can go either way.
Yeah, so we talked a lot last week about, can the Preds sustain this? Is this sustainable for this team? And after Tuesday night's game, we said let's wait till Thursday, see if they can prove it. And after Thursday, they got another big one Saturday. The Preds just keep kind of proving people wrong, almost saying no, we're better than people think. What have you learned about this team and the makeup of this team, and how much has it surprised you, that this winning streak?
Well, any kind of winning streak that's this length surprises you, no matter how good your team is. But I think one thing one thing I'm noticing is this team is finally playing the way Andrew Burnett wants them to play. They're playing aggressive offensively. Their defensive guys now understand about the offensive side of the game more, and they're giving Saros a little bit more help because they're not so confused or misunderstanding what's going on their end. That's making a big difference. But the big key is that we talked about this about a month or so, a couple months ago when they were having a little surge earlier. It was all about depth scoring, and they got depth scoring again right now. I mean, they outscored in this 8-0 run. They've outscored teams 37-13. And that's because every line is clicking. I mean, look at Cody Glass the other night, first hat trick. I mean, emotional moment for him. He's had a rough year. He's had injury problems, confidence problems, everything else. So, I mean, what a great time for him to perk up from that standpoint.
Yeah, let's go more into that. I mean, Cody Glass, I don't think he's the guy we thought would be getting that hat trick. If you were to say there's going to be a hat trick Saturday night, I don't think anybody would have guessed Cody Glass. He was, great, solid player for this team, but he's not really a goal scorer. I think he had 2 goals in 33 games before Saturday.
Yeah,
how does something like that happen? I mean, what is that kind of a product of Burnett's system, or what do you attribute that to from Glass?
He's a smart player. He doesn't always show up in goals or whatever, but he knows he's good position-wise. He knows how to set himself up for shots. He's had a really bad year. I mean, it's for several reasons, and this was a good time for him to perk back up. But when you have a hat trick situation, lots of times things just have to go your way. A lot of it, there's a little luck involved with that as well as the talent.
All right, let's talk about where they're at in the wild card right now. We've got the Kings owning the first spot right now with 72. Preds 72 points as well, but they're with the second spot. Flames, Blues, and Wild, and now we're getting a little bit of separation. Now, who knows how this pans out, Guy? But what do you think about here when you look at kind of that top 5? They're still battling it out for the first 2 wild card spots.
Well, I'm more worried about the St. Louis Blues than the Minnesota Wild right now. The Blues have been playing a little bit better as well. They're not on a tear like the Predators, but they've been playing better. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they can get any closer. I think the Wild is pretty much. The Wild's only 1 point behind the Blues, but I don't know. The Wild just doesn't seem to have the upbeat attitude that the Blues have right now. And that's one thing with the Predators. The Predators could have decided back after after the 9-2 debacle against Dallas that we're just going to play one game. We're going to win a game, lose the game, win a game, lose the game, and just get through this season. But they decided after all that, for whatever reasons, or the U2 concert or whatever, they decided in that locker room to go out and just win. And they're playing 60 minutes of hockey. You were asking about that earlier. They're playing 60 minutes of hockey now, which they haven't always done this year. And that was always a frustration for Andrew Burnett that they weren't playing 60 minutes of hockey. They sometimes looked a little lackadaisical, they looked a little confused. They're not confused anymore, and they're not lackadaisical. They're going out playing hard against everybody, and they're playing for 60 minutes, and that makes a big difference this time of the year.
Absolutely. George and I were talking earlier about how they've gotten goals and contributions from so many different people. And it feels like in the playoffs, that's what you need to go on that run. And we've been asking the questions, can the Preds make a run similar to 2017? Can they beat, say, a 2 seed if they get the 7 seed, or can they upset a 1 seed? Would you agree, Guy, that they've gotten so many contributions all across the team that is kind of the initial ingredients of making that deep run?
Well, yeah, hockey is all about team, and and these guys are playing together as a team right now, and that makes a big difference. You can look at the Oilers, who have a couple of the biggest scorers in the league, and they're just barely hanging on. They've got 76 points, so it's not always about individuals; it's about how your team plays. And this team is playing really, really strong right now. So I mean, it's like they play Montreal coming up. Montreal should be a win at home on Tuesday night. Then they play Buffalo. Buffalo should be a win as well. But Buffalo's playing a little bit better right now. They've knocked off a couple of pretty good teams of late. So I'll be interested to see how they come in. But they've got a couple of games that should be, quote, easy games for them to maybe extend this to a 10-game winning streak, which, wow, what would that be like? That'd be great from that standpoint. But they also, I hate to be negative, they also could flat turn around and lose 4 in a row. And it becomes a whole different setup. The talk today is that they're calling this weekend separation weekend. This past weekend was separation weekend. There was a lot of separation on both sides on the Atlantic Conference and the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. There was separation, but is that permanent separation? Because they've got 20-something games left. I mean, a team can easily shift from going 8-0 to going 0-4. It's like the Coyotes looked like they were pretty good. All of a sudden, they went 0 for February almost. I think they won 1 game out 14 in February. So anything can happen right now. But right now, the Predators are confident. They're playing they're using everybody on the team, and that's what you got to have. You got to have everybody contributing from that standpoint, and they're doing that right now. Everything's the way it should be. I think last week Kelly asked me what would change. I said nothing right this stage, and I'm still like that now. Nothing would change right now. One world plus today was Tommy Novak re-signed today.
Yep,
for a 3-year contract, $10.5 million. The New York Rangers had him on the top of their shopping list. He was going to go to them on trade deadline if at all possible. They had Peter Laviolette and his crew had been scouting him, and the Rangers were not making a real secret of the fact they really wanted Novak. So that was a big blow to them as they continue their playoff chances as well. But I think this also means that Alexander Carrier probably may not make the trade. I mean, may not be a Predator after the trade deadline because he's another UFA at the end of this year. And, you sign Novak, you may not be able to sign Carrier. So we'll be interested to see what happens there. And he also will be very popular on the deadline as well.
Guy, I want to go to the goaltending now. Of course, Saros is starting to really play the way, you've talked about him needing to play.
Right.
Lankinen as well. It's kind of starting off that road trip, that West Coast road trip, playing well. If you're Barry Trotz and Brunette, how do you negotiate that? Maybe not negotiate, but how do you talk to those guys and say, look, I know both of you want to play, but role definition with 2 good goaltenders. Saros is elite, right? I don't know if you'd say Lankinen is elite, but he's been pretty good this year. How do you kind of decipher between who plays on which night?
Well, Lankinen knows he's a backup. He came in as a backup, and he should have that in his mind. He's a backup. Granted, he's been able to play really well when he's come in as a backup. But I think Lankinen's looking over his shoulders also. Yaroslav Askarov, who's tearing it up down in Milwaukee, and he can't stay down there much longer. I mean, they're going to have to move him up. And so, but Saros, I think Saros was a little hurt by all the trade talk and however serious it was. I think, that's got to bother you. And I think people think it did bother him, to a large extent. That trade talk's pretty much shut down now. There's 8-0 run. I seriously doubt that, unless it's just a knockout deal, that, he's not off the table completely, but he is pretty much on the edge of the table. And so I think there would have to be just a phenomenal return if they let Saros go at this stage of the game.
All right, Gee, I want to wrap it up with maybe a prediction here. Gun to your head, what seed are the Preds getting? And are you seeing a win in that first round? I know we're far off, but what seed? What's your gut telling you about their seed and maybe what they could do in the playoffs?
Well, I think that could be I think they could be a 7 if everything falls into place. The Kings are not exactly. The Kings have been playing with a lack of confidence and look confused sometimes on the ice of late. They've had a couple of good games, but for the most part, they just don't look like they're all in sync together at times. So I think the Kings are vulnerable right now for the Predators to take over that number 7 spot. And right now the Kings are right there with Vegas. Vegas has got 73 points. The Kings have 72. And the Flames at 65, you think they're out of it, but they're playing extremely well right now, so you can't count them out right now yet. I was counting out the Flames a couple of weeks ago because of some moves they were talking about making and one they did make. But apparently they're still hanging in there as well, though the gap is getting stronger for them. But the Flames and the Kings is kind of like the Blues and the Preds. It's a nice little gap there. It would be nice if it was bigger than what it is right now. But I think they make it right now. The league has been so strange this year. There's no real dominating team. So I think they make it in the first round game and they draw the Canucks. Vancouver's had this, it's done well, but they weren't even supposed to barely make the playoffs this year. So, I mean, what's happened to them? Why they played what they played like? But I think that they're vulnerable. I think that, so I don't think, that, they played the Canucks. And the Oilers are also a question mark to some extent with their goaltending situation. So I think it's feasible they could do like they did in 2017 and move deep into the playoffs and maybe move into the finals, because right now these teams are not, there's not what I would call, they're kind of like the SEC right now. The NHL, these NHL teams are. There's a lot of parity right now, and there's nobody that's really just blowing anybody away. When you look at the score and you look at the point totals, it's pretty tight.
And it's been fun. I think I'll be there Tuesday night. George, of course, will be there as well. Gee, thanks for taking the time. George, he'll be back tomorrow. He's got some internet issues, but glad we were able to get you on here and hop on and talk a little Preds.
So, George, I'm a little disappointed. He wasn't around, but I enjoyed talking to you, Billy.
All right. Appreciate it, Gee. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. That's Preds insider Mark McGee talking Nashville Preds. So we'll close it out. We'll take a break, close it out with Plaster's Bet of the Day coming right up.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
All right, we're back closing it out with Plaster's Bet of the Day. A little bit of a shorter show today, having some trouble with George's connection back home, but we'll be back in studio tomorrow and all will be well. But got to get to Bet of the Day. Cannot forget Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Not the best weekend for George. We're not even going to review. We're just going to get into tonight's Bet of the Day. Duke -5.5 at NC State tonight. Duke is obviously a team that has been phenomenal all season long, been in the top 10 most of the season. Kyle Filipowski is a great player. And, they lost that game to Wake Forest. They responded last Saturday, though, by picking up a big win over Virginia. They dominated Virginia, and tonight they travel out to Raleigh, actually, not Durham. They travel to Raleigh to face NC State. George has Duke -5.5, 6 o'clock tip-off tonight on ESPN. George has Duke -5.5. That'll do it for us today. Again, shortened show. We're able to do that if we have to, but we'll get George back in the saddle in the studio tomorrow. I'll be back in the studio as well. Kelly will be back, but we'll be back tomorrow. And thanks everybody for checking in.